What's up WWE Universe, and welcome to the most electrifying recap on YouTube. Tonight we are breaking down one of the most action-packed editions of Monday Night Raw in recent memory, live from the iconic Accor Arena in Paris, France. Two championship defenses. King and Queen of the Ring tournament chaos. A shocking main event finish that nobody saw coming. And one absolute giant of a man who had an entire Parisian crowd chanting his name before he even spoke a single word. If you missed WWE Raw on June 8, 2026, you missed a banger. Stick with me, because we are going through every single highlight, right here, right now, on WWE Universe. Let's get it. Before a single match bell rang, before a single entrance theme hit, the ruler arrived. Oba Femi. The most physically dominant, most terrifyingly impressive superstar walking the face of WWE today, stepped through that curtain in Paris, France, and the crowd absolutely lost it. Thousands of fans, French fans, international fans, WWE Universe from every corner of the globe, all united in one thunderous chant. Oba! 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 Before he even touched the microphone. That is not just popularity. That is star power. That is the kind of electricity that cannot be manufactured or scripted, it just exists around certain once-in-a-generation talents. And Oba Femi is exactly that. He got to the ring, tried to speak, and the crowd started chanting his name all over again. And if you watched closely, you saw something rare from the ruler. A smile. Because even this dominant, ice-cold competitor couldn't help but appreciate a city full of people who genuinely love him. Then he got serious. And when Oba Femi gets serious, you listen. He told the world in no uncertain terms that his run in the 2026 King of the Ring tournament was not a journey. It was a coronation. He said, and I'm paraphrasing here because these were his words and his alone, this is not a prediction. This is a spoiler. He is going to be crowned King of the Ring. And after he does that, he's coming for Brock Lesnar. The ruler has the beast locked firmly in his crosshairs, and this rivalry between two absolute monsters of professional wrestling is far from finished. But Paris doesn't do calm. Just as Femi was commanding the stage, AAA mega champion Dominic Mysterio Dirty DOM himself had the nerve to interrupt. DOM swaggered down to that ring with all the manufactured confidence only he can deliver, trying to get inside Oba Femi's head before their King of the Ring semi-final match scheduled for the following week. He called Femi a rookie, questioned his accomplishments, basically said the king of the luchadors would shut the ruler down. The crowd responded with the loudest "Abaaa" chant of the entire night. And then, because the Judgment Day never plays fair, JD McDonough crept up from behind and cracked a steel chair directly across Oba Femi's spine. Full force. You could hear the impact. Oba Femi did not flinch. He turned around, picked up that very same chair, and cracked McDonough right back. DOM tried to capitalize with a 619, flying across the ring, but Femi caught him midair and sent him crashing spine first into the mat like he weighed absolutely nothing. The Judgment Day's entire sneak attack plan? Dismantled in under 30 seconds. And Femi's closing words to Dominic before walking out? Absolutely priceless. He said everyone knows Rey Mysterio is Dominic's father, but next week, he was going to introduce DOM to his daddy. Paris erupted. I am not exaggerating when I say the building nearly came off its foundations. Oba Femi is appointment television, and this King of the Ring run is shaping up to be one for the history books. From the ruler to the Queen of Controversy. The women's division brought the absolute heat with a fatal four-way Queen of the Ring first-round match, and this one had drama from bell to bell. Women's world champion Liv Morgan stepped into the Paris ring with three of the toughest competitors in the entire women's division: the irreplaceable Becky Lynch, the unpredictable Alexa Bliss, and the endlessly entertaining Chelsea Green. 4 women, 1 semi-final spot, and 0 room for mistakes. Right out of the gate, Chelsea Green tried to forge an alliance with Becky Lynch. Because that is just peak Chelsea Green energy, always working an angle, always playing chess while everyone else plays checkers. But alliances in fatal four-way matches have a shelf life of about 11 seconds, and this one was no different. The match was chaotic, physical, and emotionally charged, especially with Becky Lynch's incredible comeback story adding weight to every single thing she does in that ring right now. But when the dust settled, it was women's world champion Liv Morgan who found a way to survive the storm, pin the right person at the right moment, and advance to the Queen of the Ring semifinals. Becky Lynch, Alexa Bliss, and Chelsea Green all walked away empty-handed tonight, but do not count any of them out. This tournament is far from decided, and the semifinals are going to be something special. Now let's talk about one of the most exciting young athletes in all of WWE, the newly crowned Women's Intercontinental Champion, Sol Ruca. She won the title at Clash in Italy just days ago, and tonight in Paris, she was already stepping up to defend it for the very first time, against the incredibly talented Lyra Valkyria. No warm-up, no grace period. Champions don't get those. And Valkyria was ready. She clearly studied Sol's style, studied her tendencies, and came up with a game plan to neutralize the Soul Snatcher, Sol's devastating finishing move. And it nearly worked. Valkyria evaded the first Soul Snatcher attempt brilliantly, and for a moment it genuinely felt like we might see a brand new champion crowned right here in France. But Sol Ruca is a champion for a reason. She kept her composure, found the moment, caught Valkyria in a compromised position against the ropes, and hit the Soul Snatcher for the pinfall victory. Clean, decisive, dominant. Sol Ruca is heading into Night of Champions in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia on June 27 as your Women's Intercontinental Champion, and she is only just getting started. Watch this young woman, she is a future main event superstar and you are watching the very beginning of something special. Alright, this is the one. If you are a fan of pure, technical, emotionally resonant professional wrestling, this match was made for you. Intercontinental Champion Penta defended his title against a living legend, a man who has dedicated his entire life to this sport, a Hall of Famer who has thrilled fans on every single continent for over 3 decades, the one and only Rey Mysterio. Paris adored both of these men, and from the opening bell, they delivered on every bit of the hype. Mysterio set the tone immediately with a glorious moonsault to the outside that had the entire arena gasping. Then he got to work on Penta's arm, a smart, strategic approach. When Penta tried to answer with a thunderous chop, Rey ducked underneath it and Penta's hand cracked the steel ring post at full speed. The crowd winced. Penta sold every bit of it, and the psychology of the match elevated instantly. Mysterio followed that up with a sunset flip powerbomb, launching Penta directly into the barricade. A jaw-dropping spot that would have put away almost anyone on the entire roster. But Penta is no ordinary champion. He dug deep, found reserves of toughness that champions are made of, and kept fighting his way back into the match. In the end, Penta retained the Intercontinental Championship in what is already being called one of the best matches on WWE television in all of 2026. The Paris crowd gave both men a standing ovation. They earned every single second of it. But then chaos. Ethan Page and Rusev hit the ring immediately after the final bell and launched a brutal 2-on-1 beatdown on both Penta and Rey Mysterio. Dragon Lee sprinted down the aisle to make the save, but in the disorder, Rusev did something absolutely disgusting. He ripped the mask off of Rey Mysterio's face. In lucha libre culture and Mexican wrestling tradition that goes back generations, unmasking an opponent is one of the deepest, most personal disrespects imaginable. The crowd reacted with pure, justified fury. And then in the most touching moment of the entire night, Chad Gable appeared. Earlier in the evening, Gable had gone to Penta and sincerely apologized for disrespecting lucha libre during his time portraying the Grande Americano character. Tonight he backed those words with action, storming out, making the save, and personally handing Rey Mysterio his mask back with both hands. That moment meant something. That is storytelling. That is why we love professional wrestling. This feud between Ethan Page, Rusev, and the lucha libre community is heating up fast, and I for one cannot wait to see where it goes. Backstage, Seth Rollins was in full Monday Night Rollins mode, and he had a message for the World Heavyweight Champion that every single person watching needed to hear. Rollins stepped in front of the camera and called out Roman Reigns directly and publicly. He talked about time being a flat circle. The last time WWE was in Paris, he was the World Heavyweight Champion. He was the leader of the Vision. He was the future. Now, the Vision is his past, and his future is winning the 2026 King of the Ring tournament and taking back the title that he never lost. And what does winning King of the Ring mean? It means Seth Rollins gets a World Heavyweight Championship match. And that means a date with Roman Reigns, a man who, in Rollins' words, never fights alone and cannot seem to beat him when it truly matters. Roman is holding a championship that doesn't belong to him, a title Seth Rollins himself made prestigious, and Rollins intends to take it back at WWE SummerSlam on August 1st and 2nd. Bold words. Massive stakes. This is how you build a SummerSlam program. And speaking of the bloodline, Jacob Fatu, GUSO, and Jimmy USO showed up in Rollins' locker room to remind him to choose his words carefully. Fatu was ice cold and crystal clear. He acknowledged Roman Reigns and Roman Reigns alone. Meanwhile, the Usos told Rollins to worry less about Roman and focus on the King of the Ring tournament. He has to actually survive first. The bloodline's internal dynamics are shifting by the week, and every single conversation between its members carries the weight of something much bigger building beneath the surface. And now the main event. The one that had Paris on its feet from start to finish and ended in the most stunning, jaw-dropping fashion of the entire night. Seth Rollins, J. Yvonne Evans, Ricky Saints, Tala Tonga. For very different superstars, all with their eyes on a King of the Ring semi-final spot. One match. Absolute chaos from the first lockup to the final bell. Evans was flying all over that arena with the kind of athletic brilliance that makes crowds forget to breathe. Tonga was a wrecking ball, throwing bodies around like they were nothing, hitting chokeslams on the announce table that echoed through the entire building. Ricky Saints landed the Revolution DDT at the perfect moment. And Seth Rollins? Seth Rollins was doing what Seth Rollins always does, finding a way to be the most compelling person in the building at every single moment. Rollins stomped Tonga on top of the announce table. He literally leapt off the barricade. He stormed back into the ring and hit a stomp on Ricky Saints. The referee hit the canvas. 1, 2, and Paris was screaming. Seth Rollins was going to the semifinals. And then Austin Theory yanked the referee clean out of the ring. The count stopped. The crowd erupted in absolute disbelief. Montez Ford charged out from the back to deal with Theory, but that opened the door perfectly for Braun Breaker and the Vision. Breaker blasted into the ring and speared Seth Rollins with every pound of force his body could generate. Rollins crumpled. The ring shook. Paris went silent for one devastating second. Ricky Saints immediately covered Rollins, sensing his opportunity, but out of absolutely nowhere, J. Evans launched himself through the air, hit a stunning flying og cutter on Saints, and hooked the leg. 1, 2, 3. J. Evans is going to the King of the Ring semifinals. The Young Og celebrated with the Paris crowd in a moment of pure, unscripted joy, bouncing around the ring, soaking in every chant, every cheer. And across the ring, Seth Rollins slowly got back to his feet, eyes locked on Braun Breaker standing at the top of the ramp, fury, focus and fire burning in equal measure. The Vision just made themselves the most dangerous enemy on Monday Night Raw, and that score is nowhere near settled. What a night! Paris brought the absolute best out of Monday Night Raw, and the WWE Universe delivered right back. Oba Femi proved he is an unstoppable force on his way to King of the Ring glory. Penta and Rey Mysterio gave us a dream match for the ages. Sol Ruca showed the world she is a fighting champion. Liv Morgan marches forward in the Queen of the Ring, and J. Evans the Young Og just became the feel-good story of the entire 2026 King of the Ring tournament. Roman Reigns holds the World Heavyweight Championship and Seth Rollins is hunting him down. Night of Champions in Riyadh on June 27th is right around the corner, and it cannot come fast enough. That is it for this episode of WWE Universe. If you enjoyed this video, smash that like button, drop a comment below. Who do you think wins the King of the Ring? Is it Oba Femi? J. Evans? GUSO? Tell me everything. Subscribe so you never miss a single highlight, and I will see you right back here for the next one. Peace.